Hi, I'm Terry Nelson, class of 1981,
And I'm Christy Peterson, class of 1983.
and we're here today to talk a little bit about what high school in Lake Park was like back in the day. So if you were an elementary student in Lake Park, in the fourth grade, you got to make one of these little gems. We all made them, we all loved them. Not that many of us can still find them. They were quite an amazing thing when you think about it, because we had to draw our own pictures. Notice what an artist I was. Flowers, nothing else could possibly have happened. And put them on there, and then we did our own embroidery, and we signed our name to them. Then we took them home and had somebody stitch in the lining. Notice the vintage material here. And then brought them back and stitched them all together using that blanket stitch all the way around. Pretty sure this is where I learned to do my first embroidery. But this was a handy dandy little thing. Carried this to school for years.
So I'm going to talk about basketball and cheerleading because that's what I did when I was in high school. This was our uniform. We had a little blue skirt that went with it as a ninth grader on the JV basketball, boys basketball cheerleading squad. Anyway, this is the one we wore. We passed them down from year to year, and we still had to pay for them and buy them from the previous cheerleaders. The next year, when I was a senior, we had Dorothy Rossman knit these on her knitting machine, so we didn't have to put any patches on. It signified how many years you had been a varsity cheerleader, I believe. We had our names put on the back and our year on the sleeve, and they are extremely warm. I remember going to the District 23 championship game. That was March 12th, 1982, and Lake Park. Can't remember who we beat, but I do remember we won, and it was like winning the state tournament that year. The whole town celebrated. We had hats made. The entire team and the parents and families all went out to dinner at a truck stop on the way home after the game. We had shirts made. I think these were the following year. We could get our names on the back and any number you chose. So it was a big deal. I have lots of pictures in the scrapbook, and I believe Doug Erline has a website designated for District 23 hoops. We'll try and figure out what that is, and maybe people can check it out. He has collected lots of memories and videos of those years at Concordia when we played many years in a row there.
Okay, so another real gem from back in the day are the girls' Letterman's jackets. I cannot remember the year they started giving girls Letterman's jackets, but I'm thinking it was about 1976, somewhere in there. So they looked exactly the same for a very long time, and you could get both. Well, obviously it had your name on it, and you could get the LP was for any of the athletic kinds of, for getting an athletic letter, and then you could also letter in the fine arts. And so then you got this cutesy little musical symbol, and then you got all these pins. So everything you did, you got a pin for. So every year you lettered, like in the sports, the first year you lettered, you would get the ball, like there's a basketball and a volleyball on mine, and then you would get a bar every other year you lettered. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of bars. I'm sure there's supposed to be more than that. Notice, however, that this letter doesn't have a whole lot on it. Then there's the fine arts one. That was for band, choir, declamation, those kinds of things. And if you were in speech and declam, you got all kinds of cutesy little buttons and whatever, because every time you went to a meet, something good happened. So these were our pride and joy. I probably wore this to school every single winter day for 3 years. I don't think I ever took it off. It wouldn't go on me now. Okay, so now we're going to talk about homecoming and kind of how it was way back when and how it evolved over the years, it was all really different than it is today. That's all I can say. But we're going way back here to homecoming 1967 when I was the junior attendant. This is the dress that I wore with my little white gloves, my little black patent leather shoes, and white anklet socks. So incredibly cute.
Am I correct?
And my haircut that came to here, so if I wouldn't have worn a dress, you wouldn't have known which was the girl attendant and which was the boy attendant. But, so way back when, the little girls did not get all really gussied up when you think about it. It was just a simple dress, nice shoes, the gloves were a big deal.
And the junior class chose the junior attendants, correct?
That was my understanding at the time, that was who did it. And that's how we did it.
Right.
When we were juniors, we
Right.
picked the attendants.
Right. And I think we did that too for many years. So it was always somebody's little sibling or someone that you knew, a teacher's child or
Yeah.
something like that.
The one perk of mom being a teacher was I got to wear that very amazing dress, yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And one of the first years we were in Lake Park, I remember the homecoming king and queen, right here pictured in the book, Joel and Jody Matson, twins. So that was really cool. I remember getting to go to the coronation and actually knowing some of the people in the coronation.
That was my 7th grade year, and it took place on my birthday, the actual homecoming game and dance. And so I didn't get to go because mom was convinced that 7th graders had no place at a dance. And so happy birthday to me, I was home.
Poor Terry.
As always, as always.
And every year that I recall, let's see, this was from District 23, which we had talked about earlier. We were big into buttons. And at homecoming, as I recall, for $5 you could purchase a homecoming button, and you got into the football game and the dance with a homecoming button. I believe the student council would design them, and it usually had some reference to the team we were playing. So this one is 1979 Stump the Zephyrs, which Audubon was our big rival then. So,
And it was kind of an interesting thing when I think about it. Homecoming was very much the same every year, but we didn't do a lot of the things some other schools did. But coronation was Thursday night.
right?
The football game was Friday night, followed directly by the dance with a live band. One year, I think it was my junior year, the band didn't show up.
Oh, yes, that was the year I was in charge of getting the band.
Okay, it wasn't my junior year because that would have been my class. That wasn't the year that
No.
happened.
I think it was, yes, I remember. I was on the student council and the band had double booked. And
Yep.
so we ended up, Randy Ennin pulled his car into the back end of the, well, actually,
Auditorium.
that was not homecoming, that was our prom. They pulled his car into the back end of the auditorium and we danced to his car radio. We cranked it really high and
Didn't take
it was
much,
a short,
did it?
it was a short dance.
It was a short dance. Yeah, it didn't take much to make us
That,
happy.
that was junior prom.
But I remember wearing pants to the dress,
Right.
to the dance on more than one time. It wasn't the big dressy
Right,
kind of deal. And a lot of times we didn't have dates. We just
but you
went.
did do your hair.
Yeah, after the football game.
Right.
So everybody would cram into somebody's house. The parsonage from Exshow. Katie and Gretchen Homey both were living there at the time, and they'd both bring a bunch of us in there, and it was a little tiny house, and there'd be like 20 girls trying to change clothes and do their hair and do their makeup to go in the pitch black auditorium where nobody could see you anyway.
Right. It was your storm home is usually where you went and got ready for the homecoming dance. And I believe one difference that Terry mentioned is nowadays they have homecoming coronation in the afternoons. And we had it Thursday night. It was an hour long. The football team came in their jerseys. Everybody was dressed up. We had a guest speaker. All the coaches had suits and ties on. And if you go back through some of these yearbooks at the museum, you'll see how dressed up everyone was.
And I can't ever hear that music without thinking about homecoming.
Right.
It was that same song every year.
Yes. I believe it was Celebration because I just read in the MC script that we just found going through the museum here.